Broadcasting live to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, and so much more. This is Go Live with Restream from your host, Ian Anderson Gray, the show that helps you expand your audience and reach through the power of multi-streaming video.
And hello, welcome to the Go Live with Restream show. My name's Ian Anderson Gray and welcome. So good to see you all here. Thank you if you're watching the replay in the future, if you're from the future, or if you're watching live now. As I said in the chat just before, just let me know where in the world you're watching from. I can see some amazing people here watching. So we've got Little Islet watching from Germany. We've got Carlo watching from Tom's River in New Jersey. We've got Ariel watching from Ocala in Florida. We've got, who else have we got? We've got Amethyst from the United States. We've got Julio watching from Mexico. We've got Owit watching just up the road, I assume, from Manchester in the UK. So we've got some fabulous people watching. Keep those comments coming. Today, we're going to be talking about branding. But before that, just to let you know, this show is all about helping you to expand your audience and reach through the power of multi-streaming video. So as I said, in this episode today, I'm going to be talking about how to create awesome branding for your multi-streamed live shows. Now that might be images, graphics, videos, or even audio. Like this. We could have some sound effects. Now I always regret pressing this sound effect button because it goes on and on and on. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's great. So there we go. So we're going to be talking about all those different things on this live show. Now somebody says that there's no sound, but I think there is. Can everyone hear me? I think it's coming through okay. So whenever I see that question, whenever I hear somebody say there's no sound, I get really scared. But it looks like the sound is coming through. If there are any issues, let me know. But it looks like it's working, which is great. So as always, I am broadcasting live to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, Periscope, DLive, Mixcloud, and so much more. And how are we doing that? Well, of course, I'm using Restream Studio. Restream Studio is absolutely amazing. Now, what I'm going to do, for some reason, this should have come up. This page has moved. That's really annoying when that happens. So I'm going to click this. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. That's going to work. And I just want to tell you a little bit more about Restream Studio and Restream in general, if you haven't come across it, because it is what I use. I use Restream for all of my shows, and I'm using Restream Studio today. Now, Restream is all about boosting your views. It's all about building your audience, growing your audience. And with Restream, you can broadcast over 30 different destinations. That's what I call a plethora of different destinations. So it is amazing. I call Restream the complete multi-streaming suite for entrepreneurs. So you could use another tool like OBS Studio or Ecamm Live if you're feeling very geeky, and you can stream to Restream, and then that will take care of all your multi-streaming needs. It also works with LinkedIn Live. So if the LinkedIn gods have looked kindly upon you, I can see Martin is watching in the comments. Congratulations, Martin, on getting LinkedIn Live access. But you've got all these different channels that you can broadcast to, which is amazing. Now, the other way, which is what I'm doing today, is I'm broadcasting directly from Restream Studio. And this works within the browser, so it's really easy to use. You just load up your browser. You can create an event ahead of time. So if you want to schedule ahead of time, you can do that. You can have up to 9 guests on your show as well. And you can broadcast at all those different destinations all at the same time and see the comments, because this is really important. I mean, multiplying your views is obviously a really cool thing to do, to broadcast to all those different channels and extend your reach. But if you can't see all the comments across all those different networks, you're missing out on a big thing, and that is community. It's so important with live that you engage with your community, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. So do keep those comments coming. But one of the things I love about Restream is the ability to see the comments across all those different platforms, all those different networks, whether it's YouTube, LinkedIn, Periscope, that kind of thing. And you can also highlight them on the screen. As well as that, you've got the ability to stream your pre-recorded videos live using the scheduler, and you've got the analytics mode as well, which is really, really awesome. So definitely check out Restream Studio and Restream. You can find that out. Now, there we go. Restream. There we go. iag.me/Restream. iag.me/Restream. And you can sign up for free, and they've got some paid plans. It's pretty awesome. So do check it out. So let's see. We've got lots of comments here. So yeah, so Martin Buckland, I was talking to you about LinkedIn Live. So you're watching from Toronto. Awesome. Yeah, Carlo's talking about Manchester United Football Club, #1. I'm not going to get involved with anything to do with football or soccer. Sean Boyd says it's like a dyslexic Man U kit sponsored by IAG versus AIG. So yeah, good. Sound is working. All is fine. That's good. That is good. And Anne very kindly says sounds is amazeballs. We need something for this. Awesome. Great. So that's good. The sound is working. So we've got some questions. So Monty says sound is very glitchy. Sounds like a bad connection. I think my sound is okay, but let's just see. And Melissa says there's a black background. So maybe there's something dodgy going on. I know there was an issue with LinkedIn Live, so who knows what's there. But I think for most people it's working today. Okay, so we've got a few questions which I'll get back to. So do keep those questions coming. But first of all, I wanted to talk about. So Anna's is saying sound is amazeballs. That's what we like to hear. Awesome. Right. So branding. Let's talk about branding and why you should think about branding. You know, what is branding, first of all? Branding is basically the look and feel. And I would also say the sound. It's the experience. Maybe that's the right word. The experience of your live show. It's what your viewers, your audience takes away from it. So what's the emotion that they're coming from it? So I know we've had quite a few comments on the sound and the video. And, you know, I take a lot of time and effort into before the show kind of officially starts. So with the music and the build up and the tension and all that kind of stuff. I think that's really, really important because if you ask the question, why branding? Why should you invest in branding? I would answer that with, it makes you stand out. Now, 2020 has been a really difficult year for a lot of people. I'm not going to go into all of that. But what it has done is it's brought a lot more people online and creating live video. Now, that is amazing. I've been trying to work with clients and my audience to get them over those barriers, to get them producing amazing live videos and to launch their live show. But there's been loads of things in the way. There's been the mindset. There's been getting in front of the camera has been scary. Maybe it's the tech. There's been something about that. With 2020, a lot more people have just bitten the bullet, jumped in the deep end, and they are broadcasting live. Now, that is awesome, but it means that more people are doing it. So what are you going to do to stand out? How are you going to stand out? There are loads of ways for you to stand out. There's, for example, being who you are, being authentic, creating value, embracing your flaws as well. What makes you you? That's so important. But also branding really comes into this. Branding, good branding makes you stand out. It makes you memorable. It makes you professional. It might also make you fun. We don't want to be boring, do we? It allows you to be more consistent as well. So it means that when people see you, if they see the branding, if they see your logo, if they see the color scheme that you've got there, that does something in the brain. It makes people remember you as you go across all the different channels. So having that consistency is so important. So let me know what you think about that. Do you think branding is really important? If you go live, do you think about branding? And if so, what is that? How does that look? Are you thinking about logos? Are you thinking about frames and lower thirds and all that kind of stuff? You might not even know what I'm talking about here. And don't worry, I'm going to take you through all of that. So let's go back and have a look at some of the comments, which is great. So now some of these might be technical questions to do with Restream. And if I can't answer those directly, then the Restream team will be here to answer your questions, and you can obviously contact Restream support as well. But I'll do my best to get through to you. So Carlo said this. This was actually about 10 minutes ago. So sorry, Carlo, for taking so long to get back to you. But Carlo asks, how can we incorporate music into our live shows? I know how to stream a video, but what about audio tracks? And so I suppose the question is, so are you asking this from a technical point of view? How do you actually do that? What I do, so I really love these Stream Decks. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to hold it up to the camera. I think I was talking about this before, but this is my Stream Deck XL, and I've got little buttons down here, so I can play these. So, for example, if I do this, okay, you ready for this? Okay, so we've got some sound effects there that I've loaded up. So that's really good. And of course, you can incorporate that into videos like I did at the beginning. So we had some music going along there. So I'm not sure if that's the question. In Restream Studio, you don't have the ability currently to add an audio track in that. You have to add that in outside of Restream Studio and bring it in. Now, I'm on a Mac. I use a service called Loopback. So that allows me to route the audio, depending on how you pronounce that, from wherever. So it could be on your computer, it could be somewhere else, into your main audio feed that you can then put into the likes of Zoom or Restream Studio. So that's what you do from a technical point of view. If you're asking from in terms of like how you can get music, and I'm going to talk a little bit about audio branding a little bit later. One thing you will need to be careful with, though, is the whole area of copyright. You need to make sure that the music that you have is you either own the copyright or you've got a license for that. Otherwise, you're going to have problems, particularly on Facebook, because Facebook is they're quite strong on this. So you might find that they'll take down your live broadcast if they know that you're going to if you're actually playing some copyrighted music. Ariel says, I'm about to hire someone through Fiverr to design my brand suite. Awesome. Let me know a bit more about this, about what you're doing there. Okay, let's go down, see what other questions we've got there. I know there was a few other questions here. This is a Restream question, again from Carly. So I'd like to know if Restream will add more streaming platforms that are geared more towards podcasting than gaming. So Carla, I'd be really interested to know which platforms you're interested in there. So at the moment, Restream they broadcast to a lot of different networks. Some of them are focused on gaming. Some of them are just general platforms like Facebook and YouTube. There is one that you might want to check out called Mixcloud. Mixcloud was added a couple of months ago, I want to say, and that works for creators, for DJs, for musicians, but it also works for podcasting as well. So you could definitely check out that. But I know that the Restream team are always looking to increase add extra features and new destinations. So get in touch with them. That would be good. Now, Sean is saying, how does Restream bot post Facebook comments on YouTube too? That's cool. So I covered this last week. It's a great question, Sean. But let me just see if I can show you that. So this is not so much to do with branding, but why not? Let's talk about it. So what I'm going to do, so you can either download the Restream app. So the Restream app you can run in either Windows or on Mac. It's really, really cool. So let me just share my screen. So hopefully you can see this. And let's just get rid of this. So this is the chat app in Restream Studio. So you can either run it in Restream on the website or download it. I'm going to go into settings. Okay, so and then here we've got the ability for reply commands. Just a brief thing about reply commands because they are cool. So this gives me the ability to set up some short keys. So I was adding these just as we started streaming today. So if I do exclamation mark or exclamation point 1, it will type in the chat, thanks for watching the Go Live with Restream show. So I can create these all ahead of time. But you were talking about the bot. So let's look at the bot here. Now the bot, what this does is, I'll just read what it says here. It relay automatically forwards all incoming chat messages from each platform to all the other active platforms set up in Restream. So what this does is it will take all the comments on Facebook and publish those to YouTube, and also the same for YouTube to Facebook. Now, it doesn't work with all channels, but it's really cool. This gives you the ability, if you're watching on YouTube, you can still see those Facebook comments coming through. And it just tries to reduce the fragmentation of multi-streaming. Multi-streaming is so powerful, the ability to broadcast to all these different channels. And with Restream, I've got the ability to see all the comments in one place. I can highlight them on the screen. But with the bot, this allows all you who are engaged on all the different channels to be able to see each other's comments. So you feel part of a community, which is really cool. So that is, yeah, as Martin says, yeah, it's in the chat preferences. So definitely check that out. Awesome. Okay. So the question, does Restream offer that countdown page you had at the start? So that is a video that I created. So there's nothing stopping you creating your own videos outside of Restream, and then you can upload them to Restream yourself. So I prefer to create something myself, but what you do have in Restream Studio is you do have some pre-made videos as well. So I'll show you some of those now, just so you get the idea. So let me go. So here are some videos. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cycle through some of these. I won't be able to speak while these are happening, but I'll just cycle through some different countdowns that you can see. Okay, now obviously they don't have any music with it, but you can add music and do that kind of stuff. So there's some really nice countdowns. And the other thing I'm gonna share with you later on some tools that you can use to create your own. You do not need to be an After Effects guru to create all of these things. Although I did download, After Effects is like a really complicated app for made by Adobe, and you can do some really cool things. Any After Effects gurus in the house? But what you can do, I downloaded a template, and you can actually make your own ones that way. But there are far easier ways of doing it. So using some tools that I will recommend in a minute. Cool, right? So Anne says, yes, a lot, but only in terms of personality and content. Would love to have a branding entity, but not sure how to go about it. So yeah, well, we're going to talk about that in the show today. We're going to talk about the different ways you could do it. But I think that the first thing I would recommend doing is before you create a brand identity, you need to work out what your goals are. What are you actually going to be launching your live show for, and your other content out there? What's your business about? What are your main goals out there? And so I've talked about this on the show before. If you go back a couple of episodes and look at the one that I did on planning your live shows, I actually share some documents that I created, a planning document, which goes through, for example, who your audience is, why you're doing this, what the mission statement, what your promise is to your audience. If you get all of those things in place, it makes it a lot easier for you to create your branding. And of course, the other thing that's so easy to forget about is you. What makes you you? You might be representing a business, but what do you bring to the table? So I like to, obviously with me, what I bring to the table is my expertise with live streaming. My background, I trained as a professional singer, so I have some fun with that. And I'm British. I have a questionable British sense of humor. I like music. And so I want to bring all those things to the table. And so with your branding, I think the personal branding aspect of it is so, so important. So Anne, that's what I'd say to you is think about your personality that you want to bring. And then in terms of the branding identity, it's really a case of putting all those things together. So in terms of the image and the colors and all those kinds of things, what would be a good representation of what you're trying to do as a brand, as an individual as well, and how does that kind of put forward your personality? I hope that helps. Great. So Melissa makes a great point. Thank you, Melissa, for this. Some might think that logos are branding, but it's much more than this. So yeah, a lot of people think that just bunging a brand logo. There we go. It's up there, isn't it? There we go. Putting a logo, plunking a logo on there is it. That's branding, but it's much more than that. I would say that the logo kind of comes later. Once you've done all this heavy lifting, all this other work, you thought about the colors and all that kind of stuff, then you can start to think about the logo. So definitely. Ariel says, I'm looking to hire a designer to create my logo. Help me choose color hex codes and fonts. Create complementary social media icons. Is there anything else I should be doing anything else that I should have in my branding arsenal? So what I would say to you is, Ariel, is think about getting the designer to create a style guide. And in a sense, that's what you're talking about here. So the style guide will be your color scheme, your hex codes. So am I the only sad person in the room that knows their main color hex code, which is CC0033? That is sad. But anyway, it's good that I know that, because I have to use that in a lot of my different apps out there. So you need 2 or 3 complementary colors. What's your main color, your second color, and maybe a third color as well, and different fonts and styles for different types of headings. So you might want to have one for your logo, one for your heading, one for your subheading, one for your main text. A logo is important, and I would recommend having a square logo as well as a more wide logo, if that makes sense. So for my Confident Live marketing logo, I've got a square one, I've got a portrait one, I've got different ways that the logo can fit into different situations. Now you also might want to think about the kind of images that you might want. So you might want to have different graphics, different photos. If it's you might want to have different photos that show different aspects of your personality and your brand as well. But I think as a good start, I think, Ariel, that's really good. So logo, yeah, color hex codes and fonts, complementary social media icons, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I would just think about all of that. And this is something that you can build up over time. So thank you for that. That's great. So someone said screen sharing isn't working. Let me know if that is the case. It looked like it was working to me, but let me know if there are any other issues. So there we go. Yeah, so Doc Rock says, I know all of my hex codes. I am a designer, hashtag. Great. And Melissa says, yes, similar to mood boards. So Melissa, tell me a little bit more about what your experience has been with mood boards. I haven't really experimented much with them, but I think that's a great idea. And I know many people that do use mood boards. Awesome. Well, keep those questions coming, and let's talk about the next thing. So I've talked about why branding. I think that's really important. And I would think about a logo. So logos are important. So obviously I've got the logo on here, the Go Live with Restream show. That is really important for consistency. I think you want to have that as a watermark all the way through. And that's something that obviously you can do very easily in Restream Studio. So if we go back to graphics, I can just switch that off and on. There's other ones that are in here. So we've got the live Restream bit here. This is more of a, I don't know what that's, Halloween, isn't it? I think as well. And this is one that I created last week. So this is not so much, this is not so much a logo, but this is more of an overlay as well. So yeah, you can add your own logos. I think that's really, really important. But that brings me on to colors, and colors are really important. So the color we've got here is a nice red, and we want to use that across all the branding that we've got here. So for example, the main thumbnail, if that works, there we go. So that is, again, it's the same red. And here, this is the one that I did last week. This has got a bit of green in it, which is not good. I was just doing this as a quick demonstration last week, but I'll show you some other examples. So you want to think about 2 or 3 complementary colors that will work. And ideally, if you can work with a designer to come up with that, or if you feel like you're a dab hand at this, then by all means have a go yourself. But you hire a designer from the likes of Fiverr, or just hire a professional designer that you can find that you know would be really good. Now, the next thing I think is really important for live video are frames. So frames are different types of live video overlays that you can create. So I showed this last week. Now I'm hoping the screen share is going to work here. So let's have a look. So there are different ways you can do this. You can use lots of different apps. There's the likes of Canva, there is Easel. If you're wanting to play around with Photoshop, you can do that. Again, you can hire somebody to do this as well. So I'm just going to share my screen here. So hopefully you can see that. It looks like it's working. So this is something that I created earlier using a tool that I recommended last week called Easel. So this is EASIL. And a lot of what I'm showing you is available in the free plan. What isn't available in the free plan is the ability to download images that have a transparent cutout. So you will need to go on the paid plan for that. But Easel's actually relatively inexpensive. So I can talk about that in a minute. So Easel's great. So what I can do here is this is actually a theme of all the different types of images that I might want to use on a live show. So this is the title one. So for example, I could maybe add a countdown timer there, or I could say the time, for example, that we're going to go live in. So I could, for example, I could move that around. I can change the text. I could maybe copy that and do a few other things as well. So I could duplicate that, for example. So I could so I might want to change that. Whoops, excuse me. So starting, if I can actually edit the text, there we go. So starting at, and I might want to say 4 p.m. UK, 11 a.m. Eastern. Okay, so that's the first one there. Okay, then the second one here is, now you can see, hopefully see here that we've got a bit of transparency. That's what the checkered background means. So when I download this, you will be able to see me on this part of the screen, but we've got this down here. I've got the text, and I've got the show name and my name there as well. So I can add this as what we call a lower third. So this is a third of the screen at the bottom. And what I'm going to do is in a minute, I'm going to download this and then upload it. This might be a title screen, so I could add this at the beginning, or I could use this as a social media image as well. And ahead of time, you can actually change the color schemes here. So for example, if I change that color, I could change the different colors here. So for example, I could change that to a blue, which is going to look not so good. I'm going to put it back to the red. So you can once you've got an idea of your colors, you can then go in here and change that. And you can also change the font as well. I quite like that font, so I'm going to keep it there. Here is another example of a lower thirds. This time it's on the right. And if you have guests on your show, so I can put my guests there at the bottom. And if I was to then bring them in, I could have me in the left and my guest there on the right. So, and then we've got a final one there saying thank you for joining us today. So I hope that all makes sense. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually add some overlays to Restream Studio. So I'm going to go to my desktop and upload some. So let's upload the first one. So this is the main title image that I would have, maybe the countdown timer. Okay, so then I'm going to just upload the lower thirds now. So just give it a few seconds. Okay, so if I add that, I need to stand up a little bit. That's not quite so good. Or maybe I need to go back. So there we go. That's better. So I've got some lower thirds there. Now you can see the transparency is allowing my image to come through there, which is cool. What else have we got? So we've got the one on the right. So let's upload that one. So that might just make it a little bit more, a bit different there. Let's put on, this is going to look a bit strange to begin with. I'm going to put the split screen option now. So I haven't got a guest on at the moment. So that looks strange, but let's just imagine I have a guest on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put on that. Now that looks, what I'm going to have to do here, that doesn't work quite so well. But if I had a guest, then you wouldn't have any black there. So you have to kind of use your imagination there. But that's a great way to add a bit more excitement, interest to your shows if you have a guest on it as well. So I'll hide that. So that is Easel, but you could use Canva, you could use Photoshop, you can get a designer to create those for you. And I think that just means it just makes it a little bit more memorable and makes you stand out. And I think that's really good. So that is Easel as well. So yeah, let's have a look. So Oh, we've got Mahmoud is here. So, what's your thought on transparencies? Yes, that's what. So that's what I was talking about there. I really like them. I think it looks great as well. Um, and Melissa says brand boards with images and air, earth, water, fire images. So that's maybe something that you're thinking about for your branding. That's great. And what so you're replying to Carla. So guests can connect through their cell phones. Yesterday, I had 2 of them connected that way. So yeah, you can bring in your guests via the web in Restream Studio, or they can do it through their phones as well. So if they just go onto the browser on their phones, you can actually bring guests in that way. I always recommend that you try and bring guests in from a computer. I think you'll get a better quality that way, but it is absolutely possible to do it that way. That's weird. Okay, there's a black screen when I share on YouTube. Is that still the same? That's really weird. So that is this black. Is that a black screen? Let's just do that. So that is a black screen. Okay, maybe there's some kind of weird bug on my computer at the moment. I don't think that's Restream. Okay, I've got a question here from Ariel saying, how important is legal protection in the US? So depends what you mean by that. So I do think it really depends on what you're wanting to do. I'm doing a lot of live streaming. I'm doing a lot of live video production now. And so I do have business insurance that covers me for basically if anything goes wrong, that isn't really my fault, then it covers me for that. If I don't know whether that's what you mean. Martin Buckland says corporate and personal branding are so crucial today. I couldn't agree with you more, Martin. So invest in a good brand. You need to get excited by your colors, branding, and logos. I totally agree with you. Really, really important. You need to be excited by it. And I do think it's important to, if you have the budget. Now, if you're just starting out and you haven't got the budget, then do what you can. But as soon as you can spend a bit of money on your branding, I think it's a really good investment for the future. So do think about getting a style guide and spending a bit of time and money on that. You may even want to think about, what, for example, what is your actual business name? What is the show name? What's your tagline? And you may want to even look into registering a trademark as well, because that is going to be so important for you and your business, and it makes you stand out. So, okay, so yeah, Mahmoud says, e.g., varying and using them in terms of the transparency bits. I like the frames, if that's what you're talking about. I think it's really important to stand out and to use different types of frames. You don't. I think it's a good idea to change the scenes all the way through, particularly if you have a guest. So I like to go onto full screen on my guest when they're speaking, then go into split screen. And that's something that you can do in Restream Studio and other tools as well. Okay, yeah. So there are some issues on with when I was sharing my screen, but hopefully you knew what I was talking about, and that was okay. So we'll have to obviously do some testing when it comes to that. Okay, so we've talked about frames. I've talked about lower thirds as well. Let's talk about other types of branding. So you could look at creating some videos. So I've created some videos before, and I've uploaded them into Restream Studio, such as, so for example, we've got what have we got here? We've got this. That's at the start as well, and then we've got this is the main intro.
Broadcasting live to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, and so much more.
So that video I created using a tool called Wave Video. So there are a number of different tools out here that you could use. There's Wave Video is really, really good. There's also another one called In Video, which I mentioned last week. And those tools allow you to create videos through the browser. They're kind of like the Restream Studio version for pre-recorded videos. You can create all of those ahead of time. And so what I did is I created the track with the voiceover before, and I actually used the service called Music Radio Creative, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But I then uploaded that into Wave, and I then added lots of lots of different videos at different points and added all the text. So I don't know whether this is going to work, whether you're going to be able to see this, whether it's going to be a black screen again. It might well be. In fact, let me know. Let me just do something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just start a new screen share and see if this is going to work. Sometimes it's good just to start again. Okay, so let's just close that down. And then let's start a new screen share. Let's do that. So share that. Could be my browser. That's the problem. Okay, let me know if you can see that. So let me know if you can see this. This is an example of a video that I'm editing in Wave Video. So this is for my other show, the Confident Live Marketing Show, and I'll just go through the different aspects of it. So let me know if you can see this. If you can't see it, then I'll just have to kind of go through, just explain what I can see on my screen. So at the bottom, I've got a timeline, which I can go through. For example, I can fast forward through these. And these are, for example, this is a video of some squares and rectangles in the background. And then I've got some text. I've got an image there of my podcast. So I can add that in there. I've then got a pre-recorded video here that I added in, and I've got my name there. So I've got some text. And for example, I can change the text effects. I can do a nice fade in and fade out. And then as I went through the audio, I just added some extra text. So at this point, the voiceover says impact, authority, and profits. And I've got that coming in on the screen there. So this is a really quick and easy way for you to create engaging video that you can then upload onto your Restream Studio or any other platform that you want. So definitely check out that. Oh, it works. There we go. Fabulous. So it is working. So that was my fault. What I tried to do, so this is a little tip. Before I started, I shared my screen, but maybe it's a better idea to share your screen only when you need it, because Chrome can sometimes be a little bit dodgy. So yeah, thank you, Alex. And David, it works. Yes. Awesome. So maybe I'll kind of share some of those things before that I was showing you. So yes, Wave Video is a great tool that you can use. I'm just going to go back to easel actually, and then I can show you what I was doing before with that. But the next thing I will come on to go back to easel in a minute so I can show you my screen. But then the next thing that I want to talk about is audio branding. And so audio branding is so important. This could be music, can be sound effects. So I'm giving you some examples of some sound effects. Awesome applause. Or that one, which goes on forever. Or we could do some music in the background. So we could have this or this. Those are kind of sounds as well. So we could have lots of different things going on in the background. So sound effects are just make it a little bit more interesting, but also music as well. So what kind of music is going to give across the right personality and messaging as well. So Alex says here, this is a great question. How can we tell if music is on brand? And this is a really difficult one to talk about. This is a really difficult one to choose. I think you need to find music that is going to reflect your brand. So let me give you an example. Is your brand a really professional corporate brand? You're working with high level executives, for example. That's your business. You're a consultant, for example. Now, death metal is probably not going to be the best genre of music, but this is where you've got to do your research in terms of your audience and what's going to work for them. Now, it could be that dance music might be a good thing, but you've then got to think about, well, what kind of dance music is going to be good for you? So I'm going to show some examples of that in a minute. I'm going to talk about that after I talk about sound effects as well. So let me just share my screen here. So what we've got here, first of all, are sound effects. So where do you get sound effects from? So a great place to go to, let's just get this working. So hopefully you can see that, is freesound.org. Freesound.org is great. It is free. So for example, you might be able to find some like a cheering sound here. Let's just put cheering in there and let's see if we can find something. And of course you can then download that. So we've got cheering in a church, cheering, crowd cheering. So you probably won't be able to hear this. I don't know whether you can hear that because I haven't routed that audio through. Let me just see if I can do that actually. Actually, no, let me not do that. I don't want to break anything. So actually, it'd be really good if I could, because then you could actually hear what I'm talking about. So give me a second while I just open up my software here. And then I just need to do this. So just talk amongst yourselves while I do this. I should have sorted this out earlier. So that is live audio output, live video output. There we go. Now have I got Chrome? Okay, so let's just see if this works now. Tell me whether you can, if you can hear this loud cheer from a crowd. Okay, you should be able to hear that. Hopefully that's coming through. The first time it probably didn't, but hopefully you heard it that time. So these are some sound effects that you can use. For example, we could use a telephone. I don't know why you'd want to use this, but let's find a telephone sound. Okay. What have we got here? Telephone ringing. That sounds weird. British telephone. Okay, there we go. I like that. That's kind of more old school one. Okay, yes, you can hear. Great. Oh, thank you, Katie. Katie Simpson's here, so you can hear. That's awesome. Yes. So sound effects, they could just add a bit of excitement to your live stream. So definitely check that out. There's also one called Free SFX. I haven't used this, but you could try that as well. Now, the other service that you could use is Storyblocks or Audio Blocks, and they have sound effects and audio as well. It's how expensive is this? Now, am I logged in? I might actually be logged in at the moment. I don't know. Anyway, well, we can find out. I can find out about that. But am I logged in? Yes, I am. Let's log out, and then let's have a look at the price for this, because the other ones were free. And let's have a look at audio plans and pricing. There we go. Plans and pricing. I don't think it's that expensive. So audio, here we go. So unlimited audio. In the UK, it's £12, but you might, or the basic audio is £8. So that's probably about $12 per month. But that only gives you 3 downloads. So, and the sound effects is only it's about $15 per month, I think, for that. So the one I really recommend, though, is Epidemic Sound. I love Epidemic Sound because the thing about Epidemic Sound is that all of these are automatically licensed to your YouTube and your Facebook channels. So what you do is you actually go in to, once you set up an account, you then link your YouTube, your Facebook, and your other channels to Epidemic Sound, and it automatically allows the music to be licensed. So you won't get any takedown notices or anything like that. All of these are all included in the cost. And the cost is, let's have a quick look. So it is, again, sorry, this is in pounds, but it's £10 per year. If you are watching it, if you're looking at this in another country, you'll see it in your own currency, I think. So the great thing here is that let's look at some moods. So for example, if you want an upbeat mood, for example, we could look at happy. Maybe you want a happy sound, or maybe you're looking for an epic sound. Let's look at some epic sounds here. And then you can then look at some other emotions here. So you could have euphoric, or maybe you want to think about the actual genre. So let's look at some genres here. And so there's epic classical, there's electro, there's beautiful. So let's try beautiful. So what we've got here is we've got beautiful and epic at the same time. So this says it's post-rock. This is ambient and beautiful. Let's try that. Let's see what this sounds like. So I don't know what this sounds like. This is definitely ambient. So that's a bit more mysterious. We might not want that. Let's change it. Let's not do beautiful. Let's do Let's see. Let's do 2010s pop. And let's look at this. And we can also see the beats per minute here. Let's try something that's a bit quicker, like this one here. Something good. So this is a bit more upbeat, isn't it? So I think that would be a good sound for the beginning of a show. So you get some ideas, and then of course we've also got sound effects as well. So the great thing about Epidemic Sound is that it's all licensed, and you won't have any of those takedown notices. It's really, really good. I love Epidemic Sound, so definitely check that out at epidemicsound.com. Katie Simpson is saying, can you download those audio clips into Ecamm? Yes, you can. You can download those into Ecamm and then stream that to Restream. You can do it that way. You can also put these into videos and upload them into Restream Studio. So you're able to do all of that. You can download as an MP3 or as a WAV. Now, the really, really cool thing is that and I can't really show you this, but on a lot of the tracks, on most of the tracks, you can just download it as a WAV file, but you can also download it in separate tracks. So it will separate out the melody from the vocals, from the bass, from the drums. So you can have so much fun with this. It's really, really awesome. Great. Awesome. So Jason says, hi, I need streaming outside. How can I get a stable internet outside? Did need an RTMP system to get good internet. Okay. That's a really hard one, Jason, because it really depends on where you are. And so what I would recommend that you do is to see whether you've got good 4G. So you could broadcast to the likes of Restream Studio if you have decent 4G. It's not to be recommended, but ideally, if you have 3 or 4 megabits per second upload, you probably okay. I do recommend more than that. So if you've got 10 megabits per second upload, it gives you a bit more wiggle room. So what I would suggest that you do is just check your internet using speedtest.net. I talked about this in a recent episode, and just check to see how you're doing with that, because you just want to make sure that the speed is good, the upload speed is good, but also that it's going to be reliable as well. So depending on what you're doing there, you could hotspot from your phone. You could also get like a 4G router. That's a bit more tricky, but that could work as well. And there are some more, the other things that you could do is, for example, if you're going on your computer, just make sure that your computer is not using any other bandwidth hogging apps in the background, for example, Dropbox or Google Drive. Make sure you close all of those down so your computer is using all the available bandwidth for your lives. That's a really important thing as well. And there's also an app which I haven't used myself, but it's called Speedify. Now, it's what's called a VPN. It's a virtual private network. So you've probably seen loads of adverts for VPNs around, and there's a big advantage in using them from a privacy point of view. So it means you can effectively tunnel your internet connection through to another server somewhere else in the world, and it just hides all your traffic from your local network and from your ISP. But the advantage with Speedify is that it can bond together 2 different types of connections. So, for example, you could have 2 4G connections from different networks. It would probably need to be 2 different networks, and use both of those together to form a more reliable and quick network. It's a bit more geeky, but it's something that you could definitely do if you're concerned about that. So going back to branding, do think about audio branding as well as visual branding. I think that is really important. So we've talked about sound effects. We've talked about music. I've talked about Epidemic Sound. You could also think about voiceovers at the beginning, and that could well just be you. You could just introduce your show. You don't have to hire voiceover artists, but it is something that you could do. Now, something that I've done, I've mentioned Fiverr quite a few times. So there's some amazingly talented people on Fiverr. So I've got people on Fiverr to produce different voiceovers and different accents. So one time I wanted a very terribly British BBC accent, so I paid someone to do that, to do that. And I've wanted American accents and different accents. And you can get some really good stuff on Fiverr. So definitely check that out. But I also want to give a big shout out to my friends at Music Radio Creative, because Music Radio Creative are awesome. They're really, really fabulous people. In fact, we've had on the show Mike Russell, who is the founder of Music Radio Creative, and he set all of this up. So they do podcast editing, they do loads and loads of cool stuff. But they also have voiceover artists as well, so you can actually hire these people. So, for example, if we go here to voiceovers, and they're not expensive. They're not, you can, £15, $20, that kind of price. So, for example, we've got Mike here, so I can click Mike.
This is That Show with Dave G. This is Rafa Radio, broadcast.
So they'll get the voiceover artists to speak, and they can also add some extra effects here. So, for example, you may want an American accent in English. So let's choose American English. Let's choose female voices here. And let's have a look. So we've got Rebecca. Let's listen to Rebecca.
What does your prayer life look like? Welcome to yourprayerlife.com's podcast.
So that's some examples there of American, but you could also, it's not just English as well. They do, for example, we could choose Polish. So I don't know if there's any Polish people in the house. Let's have a look. Maybe there aren't any Polish people. There we go. We've got some male Polish voices here. So Alexander.
musicradiocreative.com 10 hitów, jeden po drugim.
So there we go. So voiceovers is just adds a bit of effect, a bit of a cool thing. And as you heard in the beginning of the beginning video, I've got some voiceovers, and they are all from Music Radio Creative. So definitely check out musicradiocreative.com. I think that is really, really good. So definitely check that out. And yeah, Katie says, I enjoyed that episode with Music Radio Creative. It was amazing. So I did on my show. I had Isabella Russell, who talked all about audio branding. So you can check that out. All you need to do is go to iag.me/podcast and listen to the recent episode on that. Well, I think that is it. We've got a Polish speaker here. We've got the Roswell saying Cześć. My Polish isn't very good, but I know that. I know koszma, which is nightmare, and dziękuję. There's a few other words. I love Poland. I've been to Poland quite a few times. I'm in love with the place, but obviously I've not been there in 2020, sadly, but maybe next year. Awesome. Well, I think that is it for today. If you have any other questions, let me know. Be here next week. It's 4 p.m. in the UK on Tuesday. That is 11 a.m. Eastern. And also just to let you know, I've got a course coming up next week, in fact. So if you go to iag.me/LYL, let me just put this in the comments, iag.me/LYL. This is the Launch Your Live course. And this is all about launching your live show for 2021. So if you're interested in launching your own live show, then this course is drip fed over the first 5 days. I go live in the group and I help you. And the following week is all about practicing. It's $97. It's not free, but you get so much for that. And we've already got an amazing community in there. So definitely check out that at iag.me/LYL. And of course, we'll be back next week. So I'll be talking about multi-streaming again, of course. And if you have got any thoughts or any ideas on what we can talk about today on the show, then let me know. That would be great. So Martin says, are all the URLs for all the applications you have mentioned, are they being published? I don't think so at the moment. We may think about turning these episodes into blog posts in the future. But if there was a particular one that you were interested in, let me know. There's musicradiocreative.com. There's easel.com, EASIL.com. And Martin, just get in touch with me if you want to know any of those. I know I need to reply to you, to your message before. But that is it for today. Thank you. I'm just looking for the button. I've got another button I need to press. But thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great. Thank you so much for all the questions. And this is exciting. I love this. Congratulations. You've received 100 messages today, which is fabulous. So thank you so much. This show would not be the same without you. Melissa says, brilliant. Thank you so much, everyone. Well, it's been great to see you all today. I will see you next time. As I say, we're live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. in the UK. That's 11 a.m. Eastern and 8 a.m. Pacific. If you want to be notified for future episodes, all you need to do is go to confident.live/restream. That's confident.live/restream. That will send out my handy Facebook Messenger bot to remind you next time as well. And also, just to let you know, there's a cool gear guide that I've created at iag.me/restream. So that will give you all the gear that I use on this show. So yeah, definitely check that out. But that is the end of the show today. Thank you so much, everybody. But until next time, I encourage you to expand your audience and reach through the power of multi-streaming video. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Go live with Restream from Ian Anderson Gray, the show from Restream that helps you expand your audience and reach through the power of multi-streaming video. Visit iag.me/Restream for more. And until next time, toodaloo.